Hey there, guys. The other day, I did a 3-turn clear on Gloomwing, so the only place to go from here is a 2-turn clear. So we're going to 2-turn Gloomwing on hard mode using a really powerful DPS team with the help of Liv Dilly, who built me a nice Chizuru. So here's the party we're going to use, and we're going to just blow up this bug in 2 turns. At least that's the plan. So let's get in here and do it. Now, Liv Dilly's Chizuru is geared quite a bit better than my own, so we're going to focus all the really good buffs on that unit. So Sylvie is going to start in the base for some auto buffing, and then we're going to do Paladin's Offense, we're going to do Beaten Insect on the friend, and we're going to do the I've Got Your Back buff on the friend. Frievia is going to do the Ice Field, and then some mitigations for turn 1 so that we take less damage from the Mana Drain. Now Kaito, starting in the base for immunity and then shifting, is going to do his LB to break and Katana in peril. Chizuru, starting in the base and then shifting, are going to do their shifted LB, and all this is extreme and overframing. And then Wilk is going to unlock his good break for next turn. So let's go ahead and chain this up. Wilk won't perfect chain with the rest of the guys, but that's okay. Turn 1 is basically a setup turn, although our setup turn did almost 40%. So here's the mana drain and all that, but we've got mitigations from Frievia, so it's kind of fine, you know, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and use Frievia now to fill LB gauge 4 times so that we can do LB again with Chizuru's. But now Wilk is going to do his 90% break, and Sylvie is going to triple cast her Paladin move, Clever Paladin. That's going to match up with Wilk, and it's also going to fill the rest of the LB gauge for the parties. We're going to go ahead and do this first, because these two, we need to fill the LB gauge before we do much else. So there was Wilk doing his damage. Now let's do the rest of the damage with this party. Now, the Hayo Vision card is better damage than Kaito's LB, so we're going to do that on the second turn. And then we're just going to go ahead and chain this up. And that should be the end of Gloomwing. There it is. A 2-turn clear on Gloomwing Advanced. Now, we did use a full party, so keep that in mind. But, you know, eventually we'll get to the point where power creep allows us to do an all-mission clear with only 5 units on 2 turns. Or, even better, a turn 1 OTK. That'll be coming eventually, but we're not there yet. So here's the party we used. So Wilk in the shift form is using his double-handed fist build. He's our 90% breaker. A little bit of support damage, but he's mostly a breaker. We didn't have time to set up his LB because we're doing a speed clear. But he does gear very easily. We've got the chain cap up, the chain speed up, and a decent card. And he's got maxed out Insect Killer, which is basically free for him. Sylvie in the base form started with Seraph Staff and Wisdom of Hest. In the shift form, we've got 9500 Spirit. She's built for Insect Killer, and she does buffing and then LB fill on turn 2. And she chains. I'm curious to see what kind of damage she dealt, but we'll see in a moment. She is maxed on Insect Killer, max chain cap up, 9500 Spirit. Is she going to deal relevant damage? Probably not, but we'll see in a minute. Frievia, completely naked. She is the ice support, the mitigation on turn 1, and the LB fill on turn 2, so we can spam those LBs on Chizuru. Base form Kaito is using the Treasured Memorial Ring so that we can get status immunity, because this cast, it's kind of like Seraph Staff, it casts an automatic status immunity, and the boss blinds on turn 1, and his shift form is not blind immune. Same thing with Sylvie, her shift form is not blind immune, which is why we used Seraph Staff. Anyway, Kaito in the shift form is LB damage versus bugs, as well as chain speed up with the Prodigious and the Hayo card, because again, this ability is more damage than his shifted LB. And then we've got maxed LB damage and 300 Insect Killer. And then my Chizuru in the base form is starting with Anti-Decay Amulet. I think the boss doesn't actually do stat breaks until turn 2, but that was just like in case. We're stat immune. And then her shift form is just LB damage. Mine's only EX2, so, you know, 10,000 attack power, LB damage versus bugs. And again, we've got the double chain speed increase for every bit of max possible damage. Even the GF extension for Epine, you know, I wish mine was EX3. Maxed LB and maxed Insect. And then this one is Live Dillies. Built me one as well. Very nice base form with, you know, I asked Live Dilly for all the support stocks. I wasn't sure what strategy I was going to go with. So we got Tybus' Spirit and all that. We didn't use any of that. All we really needed was Decay Amulet. And then shift form, EX3, and as you can see, 1,000 more attack power than mine. This is why we pulled all the good buffs on Live Dilly. And here is the stat. A lot of flat stats. Still, though, 11,000 attack power. And then, as I requested, double chain speed, GF extension, Purger of Pestilence. And you might be wondering about chain cap. At EX3, Chizuru has maximized chain cap by default. So you don't need Magisters at EX3. And then, of course, the best card in the game currently, maxed LB and maxed Insect. All right, let's take a peek at the damage meter so we can be curious about how much more the friend outdamaged everyone else, because we gave all the good buffs to the friend. So it's a little bit cheating for the friend, but let's see anyway. Also, I'm really curious to see if Sylvie did relevant damage. I'm going to assume no, but I'm curious. I mean, Sylvie did 500 million damage. Obviously, that's not, like, super relevant. But 500 million for a pure support unit is, like, not the worst in the world. That's kind of amusing. Kind of amusing. But yeah, Sylvie did okay-ish damage, I guess you could say. Anyhow, again, Wilk was doing his morale skills, but he was mostly the 90% breaker because we didn't have time to stack his LB. That's what you're going to be doing with Wilk and Dark Visions, is stacking that LB every turn until it's maximized and doing all this. Like, he's got a long setup to do relevant damage while 90 breaking outside of Clash of Wills. But he was a 90 breaker, and that was what we wanted. Again, Sylvie, 500 million. I mean, I know that's really low, but I am shocked that a literal support unit did 500 million damage in one turn. Anyway, she did. Kaito, again, was mostly a breaker. We did his breaker, katana, and peril. We did his shifted LB, which is, again, a morale skill, so it's garbage damage. And then on turn 2, we did the Hayo card. And that's where the majority of his damage came from, is the Hayo card. So that's basically 2 billion damage from the Hayo card. And then my Chizuru, EX2, and didn't get the good buffs, did 6 billion. And again, the well-geared friend that got all the best buffs, she got the 300% LB damage buff, she got the 400% stat buffs, and she got the 250 insect killer. And she did basically 11 billion. So, yeah. 2-turn Gloomwing Advanced. Okay, tune in next time for, I guess, a first turn KO at some point. We'll get there eventually. See you next time.